you ever stayed in a hotel and felt like someone was watching you? Imagine waking up at 3 a.m. Your room is freezing cold. The hallway outside is silent, and suddenly, you hear piano music. Soft, slow, but there is no one there. This is not fiction. This is the true story of the ghosts of the Stanley Hotel, a place where guests report children laughing in empty corridors, lights turning on by themselves, footsteps in locked rooms, and the spirit of a hotel owner who may have never checked out. Before we begin, let me ask you something. If you stayed in a hotel room and heard footsteps above you, but you were on the top floor, would you investigate? If a ghost played piano for you in the dark, would you stay the night? And what would you do if your camera captured someone standing behind you when you were completely alone? Checking in to the Stanley Hotel. But checking out? That might not be so easy. In the early 1900s, a wealthy inventor named Freeland Oscar Stanley came to Colorado searching for fresh air. He was sick, very sick. Doctors believed he had tuberculosis. In 1903, he arrived in the mountain town of Estes Park. At the time, it was quiet, wild, surrounded by forests and mountains. Something about the air helped him recover. His health improved dramatically. He believed the clean mountain climate saved his life. And so he decided to build something extraordinary. In 1909, he opened the magnificent Stanley Hotel. It was elegant. Bright white walls, grand staircases, ballrooms filled with music. It quickly became one of the most luxurious hotels in America. The rich and famous visited, politicians stayed, celebrities relaxed there. But from the very beginning, something strange lingered in the halls. Staff began reporting odd things. Doors opening on their own, lights flickering, unexplained cold drafts in empty rooms. At first, they ignored it. Old buildings make noise, they said. Wood expands, wind blows, but then things escalated. Guests claimed their luggage had been unpacked while they were at dinner. Some said they heard children running in the hallway at night, but when they opened their doors, no one was there. One room in particular began getting attention, room 217. In 1911, a powerful storm caused an explosion in the hotel's basement. A housekeeper named Elizabeth Wilson was injured. She survived. But from that day on, guests in room 217 claimed something unusual. They said their clothes were neatly folded when they returned, their shoes arranged perfectly, lights turned off when they left them on, and some even claimed to feel a gentle presence sitting at the edge of the bed. Many believe Elizabeth never left. She still works there, still cleaning, still caring for guests. The fourth floor is considered the most haunted. It was once used as a children's play area. Guests report hearing giggling, running footsteps, a bouncing ball. But when security checks the cameras, nothing appears. Parents have reported their children talking to other kids in the hallway. Kids that no one else can see. One chilling report came from a mother who said her daughter waved down the hall and said, "Mommy, the boy says he's been here a very long time." There was no boy, no one at all. The grand ballroom holds a beautiful antique piano. It once belonged to Flora Stanley, the wife of the hotel's founder. She loved music, guests. Today, visitors claim the piano still plays. Soft melodies drift through the empty ballroom. Security guards report hearing music late at night. But when they enter, the room is silent, the piano lid closed, no one there. Some believe Flora still plays for her guests, even in death. In 1974, a struggling writer checked into the Stanley Hotel with his wife. The hotel was almost empty. It was closing for the winter. The hallways were quiet, echoing. That writer was Stephen King. He stayed in room 217. That night, he had a terrifying dream. He dreamed his son was running through endless hotel corridors, chased by something unseen. He woke up in a panic, heart racing, and in that moment, the idea for a novel was born. That novel became The Shining. The Stanley Hotel inspired one of the most terrifying horror stories ever written. Coincidence, or something more? Today, the Stanley Hotel fully embraces its haunted reputation. Guests go on ghost tours, paranormal investigators bring equipment, and cameras often capture strange anomalies. One famous photograph taken in 2016 shows what appears to be a ghostly figure of a woman on the staircase, transparent, watching. No one there during the photo. EVP recordings have captured whispers, unexplained voices answering questions. Cold spots appear suddenly, and disappear just as fast. Even skeptics admit something strange happens there. Do you believe spirits can remain attached to places they loved? If you heard children laughing in an empty hallway, would you check it out? Would you dare to spend a night in room 217? Comment below, yes or no. But the most terrifying story is not about piano music, laughing, or cold drafts. It's about a guest who checked in, locked his door, turned off the lights, and woke up to someone whispering his name in the dark. And when he opened his eyes, he wasn't alone. That story, it was winter. The hotel was nearly empty. Snow covered the mountains surrounding Stanley Hotel. A businessman, we'll call him Daniel, checked into room 217. He didn't believe in ghosts. He thought hauntings were nonsense. He was tired from travel. He unpacked, locked the door, turned off the lights, and went to sleep. At 2:43 a.m., he woke up, suddenly, without knowing why. The room felt different, colder. He adjusted in bed, and then he heard it, a soft whisper, right next to his ear. Daniel. He froze. His heart began pounding. He told himself it was a dream, sleep paralysis, imagination. But then the whisper came again, clearer this time. Daniel, get out. He jumped out of bed and turned on the lamp. The room was empty. The door was locked. The windows sealed shut. The bathroom. Nothing. But as he stood in the middle of the room, the bathroom light flicked on by itself. Daniel left the hotel before sunrise. He never returned. Room 217 is believed to be watched over by Elizabeth Wilson. After the 1911 explosion injured her, she continued working at the hotel for years. Guests often report feeling a gentle tug on their blankets at night, seeing a shadow move across the room, their belongings arranged neatly while they're gone. One couple reported something chilling. They had argued before going to dinner. When they returned, their suitcases were unpacked, clothes folded, shoes placed side by side. But on the dresser, 2 wine glasses sat together, as if someone had quietly told them to make peace. Some believe Elizabeth protects guests. Others believe she simply refuses to leave. Remains, if she's still working there, who is paying her? The 4th floor feels different. The air is heavier. The silence feels thicker. This floor once housed children of wealthy guests. It was a place of laughter, games, energy. But today, guests report hearing children running at night. One father said his daughter woke him up at 3 a.m. She whispered, "Daddy, the little girl wants to play." There was no one in the hallway. Security cameras showed empty corridors, but audio recordings from that night captured something faint. A giggle, soft, echoing, then silence. Another guest reported a child's handprint appearing on a fogged bathroom mirror, small, clear, then slowly fading away. No children were staying on that floor that week. So who was playing? One of the most famous paranormal photos from the Stanley Hotel shows a dark figure standing on the grand staircase. Guests had taken a group photo during a tour. When they reviewed the image later, they noticed something. On the stairs behind them stood a tall, shadowy silhouette. Long dress, still posture, watching. No one had been there when the photo was taken. No one in period clothing. No staff, no visitors. Just empty space. But the camera saw something, and cameras don't imagine things. Or do they? The grand ballroom is beautiful. Golden chandeliers, high ceilings, a majestic antique piano. It once belonged to Flora Stanley. Guests often claim they hear piano music late at night. A slow melody drifting down the corridor. Security guards have entered the ballroom after hearing it. The room is empty, the piano lid closed. One guard reported something unsettling as he walked away. From the silent piano, he heard a single key press behind him. Just one note, soft, lingering. He did not turn around. He never worked night shift again. Over the years, investigators have brought equipment into the hotel. Spirit boxes, thermal cameras, EVP recorders. One investigator asked out loud, "Is anyone here with us?" Static filled the room. Then a faint reply, "Yes." Another session recorded what sounded like a child's voice saying, "Stay." Temperature drops are common in certain rooms. Sudden, sharp, from warm to freezing in seconds. And sometimes, guests feel a hand on their shoulder, but when they turn around, no one is there. Some believe the hauntings aren't just about spirits. They believe the land itself holds energy. The hotel sits near the entrance of Rocky Mountain National Park. Hotel was built. Native American tribes traveled through the area. Some spiritual traditions say certain land holds residual energy. Moments, memories, emotions, trapped like recordings in time. Perhaps the Stanley Hotel is not haunted by ghosts, but by echoes. And echoes never fully disappear. One night, a guest staying on the 4th floor reported waking up unable to move. The room felt heavy, like pressure pushing down on his chest. He opened his eyes and saw a dark figure standing at the foot of his bed. Not transparent, not glowing, just solid, watching him. He tried to scream. Nothing came out. The figure leaned forward slightly, then vanished. The pressure lifted instantly. He checked out that morning. To this day, he refuses to speak publicly about it. So what is the truth? Is the Stanley Hotel truly haunted? Are the spirits of Freeland Oscar Stanley and his wife still walking the halls? Or is it something else? Something deeper? Something tied to the land itself? Because in part 3, we'll explore the darkest theory of all. The theory that suggests some guests never really leave. And sometimes, the hotel chooses who gets to check out. Paranormal experts describe 2 types of hauntings. The first is intelligent. Spirits that respond. Spirits that interact. But the second type is called residual. Residual hauntings are like recordings burned into the walls. Moments of intense emotion that repeat over and over again. The Stanley Hotel has seen illness, isolation, sudden injury, emotional breakdowns, fear. And some believe those emotions never left. Guests report seeing the same shadow at the same time each night. Footsteps that follow the same pattern. A door that slams at exactly 11:47 p.m. every single evening. Not random, not interactive, just repeating, like a memory stuck on replay. But if it's only a replay, why do some guests claim it reacts to them? In 1998, a man reportedly extended his stay multiple times. He had originally booked 2 nights, 3 weeks. Staff said he became withdrawn, obsessed with the 4th floor. He claimed he felt welcomed. He said the hotel was speaking to him. One night, security cameras recorded him standing alone in the hallway, talking, pausing, listening, as if someone answered him. There was no one there. He checked out abruptly the next day. He left behind a notebook. Inside it, one sentence was written repeatedly. "They don't want me to leave." No one knows what he meant, but some wonder, was he experiencing psychological breakdown, or did the hotel attach itself to him? The Stanley Hotel sits near the entrance of Rocky Mountain National Park. In winter, snow surrounds the building, roads close, silence dominates the mountains. Isolation changes people. It sharpens imagination, heightens fear. In 1974, when Stephen King stayed here, the hotel was nearly empty. The loneliness disturbed him. He described walking through long corridors, with no sound but his own footsteps. That isolation inspired The Shining. But here's something chilling. Several guests, decades apart, have reported identical dreams. They dream of endless always, children laughing far away, a door at the end of a corridor, and something waiting behind it. Different people, different years, same dream pattern. Coincidence, or something the hotel plants into sleeping minds? Some researchers suggest a disturbing idea. They believe certain locations act like emotional batteries, places where intense feelings, fear, joy, pain, charge the atmosphere. Over time, that energy becomes strong enough to manifest, not as spirits, but as projections. The Stanley Hotel was built by Freeland Oscar Stanley after surviving a life-threatening illness. He poured gratitude and obsession into its creation. His wife, Flora Stanley, filled it with music and emotion. Guests brought love stories, arguments, secrets, anxiety, desperation. Over more than a century, how much emotion has soaked into those walls? And what happens when energy has nowhere left to go? One of the most unsettling modern reports came from a solo traveler. She stayed in room 401. At 1:13 a.m., she woke up to use the bathroom. She glanced in the mirror, and for a split second, she saw someone standing behind her. A tall woman, pale, still, wearing what looked like an old-fashioned dress. She spun around. Nothing. The room was empty. She looked back at the mirror, and this time, the woman was closer, not moving, just watching. Reflection was gone. She slept with the lights on. In the morning, she found something strange. On the mirror, written faintly in steam-like streaks, even though the room was dry, "Stay." No explanation was ever found. Let me ask you honestly, if multiple strangers experience the same dream in the same building, is that coincidence? If you saw someone in the mirror behind you, would you return to that room? Do you believe places can absorb human emotion? Comment below. Is the Stanley Hotel haunted, or is it something science doesn't understand yet? Several guests report the same unsettling feeling. Not that they're being followed, but that they're being observed. Not by something moving, but by something present, still, aware. Some describe it as stepping into a space that already knows you're there. Like the hotel recognizes new arrivals. Investigator once said, "This place doesn't feel occupied by spirits. It feels conscious." That statement changed everything. Because if it's not just ghosts, if it's not just echoes, then what exactly is walking those halls at night? Despite the fear, despite the stories, despite the unexplained events, the Stanley Hotel remains one of the most visited haunted locations in America. Why? Curiosity, thrill, the desire to confront the unknown. Humans are drawn to mystery. We want to test it, challenge it, stand in the dark and say, "I'm not afraid." But what if the darkness doesn't care whether you're afraid? What if it simply waits? So here we are. Over a century after it opened in 1909, the Stanley Hotel still stands. White walls glowing under moonlight. Windows dark at night. But not all rooms are empty. Some say you can hear piano music when the ballroom is locked. Some say children still run across the fourth floor. Some say Elizabeth still tidies room 217. And some say, if you listen carefully in the silence, you can hear breathing that isn't yours. So the question is, would you spend one night there? Alone, lights off, door locked, listening? Because maybe the real mystery isn't whether the hotel is haunted. Maybe the mystery is who or what is still checking in.